here's the video review for the Robots in Disguise Warrior class Optimus Prime. My friend Silvershot picked this up for me. Thanks again, Scott. I appreciate it. And sent this out to me last week. Wasn't able to get me a drift. I've since secured a drift, so I'll be doing him soonish. But yeah, he is he's Optimus Prime. He's a truck, and you can see from this version he's not just he's not a dump truck. He is intended to be like a semi-cab with the trailer, but all incorporated into one figure. And on his little Legends class figure, he was the same thing, but you can see like that could easily be mistaken, you know, just the way with this up here and this kind of open area back here. That could be a dump truck. You know, it's hard to tell. It could be, you know, the Legends version of a trailer, which clearly it is, but as you can tell on the larger version, that is intended to be a semi with a tractor trailer behind it. Partly because he does have these extra wheels that the Legends doesn't have. This just looks like it could be a utility truck of some sort. But yeah, there's just a size comparison between those two. Now, being kind of an all-in-one vehicle, he is obviously scale-wise a little smaller than some of the others. Here he is with the other deluxe rig figures that we've gotten out so far. Here's with Steel Jaw. Strong Arm, obviously out of scale. Bumblebee. And Grimlock here. That could be to scale, who knows? At least for dinosaurs and trucks. Somebody's going to prove me wrong. Somebody's going to be like, well, actually, Tyrannosaurs were like 4 times that big compared to whatever. I believe you. So, yeah. Now, he does come with a weapon. He comes with this axe. And the instructions don't show it very well, but there's a little notch here on each side of the axe handle, as well as a little square. You can kind of see it right above my fingertip there in the middle of the axe blade. That fits in. You can see there's a couple notches here that don't go all the way closed, and a couple notches up here in the top. And how it works is you can store the weapon. You just snap the this over these grooves, and then these 2 notches right here fit in that square on the blade. Just kind of push it down. Don't pop them apart though. And you can store the weapon like that in vehicle mode. Now, that's cool. I'm glad they gave him a way of holding his weapon in vehicle mode. They seem to have done that on all the previous figures, although Grimlock didn't come with a weapon. I guess he is the weapon. But if you look underneath, there's all this empty space down here, and this part here is the back part of his waist area. So I don't know why they made this stick in up here when they could have. Come on, you can prop it out there. When they could have made like a small clip or something. And there's this peg hole right here that I have no idea what it's for. But they could have made like a small clip right here on the back of his waist where you wouldn't really even notice it in robot mode, and have the axe hold inside the trailer like that and not stick out. That's the one thing that baffles me. Like a clip right there would have held that right in place. You might see a little bit, you know, looking at the top, you might see a little bit of the axe blade sticking out. But make a much more use of this effective empty space under here instead of having like a shark fin on the back. Although I guess a shark fin truck is kind of cool. But hey, hold on, settle down there, Katy Perry. But yeah, like there, it's just like an extraneous piece on the back of the truck. Nice that there's storage, but I feel like they could have utilized this empty space under here much more effectively to hide that weapon in vehicle mode. Oh well, what are you going to do? You can see he's got the little Autobot app scanner sticker up here on the top of his cab. It seems a little oddly placed here in vehicle mode. It'll make sense when we get to robot mode. And speaking of robot mode, why don't we go ahead and get right to that. So, like I said, a very basic transformation. Pull the axe out if you've got it stored. And these panels right here, you kind of saw them pop out when I pushed too hard up here. Basically, right here at the smokestack, just kind of pop that out to the side and fold it all the way down. You can see we've already got his lower legs formed there. And then split that apart. Rotate the waist here around, like on all the other figures, 180 degrees. And then up here, you want to take the cab, split it in half. Come here. Split that in half. You can see his head right there. Pull it up, and like it'll pull it up until it clicks. You'll hear it click into place, and then it won't. If you don't pull it up all the way, it'll sink very easily. If you pull it up and click it, it'll you can turn his head, and it doesn't sink down as easily. So bring it right here. I do like this mechanism. You'd see his hands are kind of off to the side here. And they actually peg in. His fist actually holds that peg in robot mode, or in vehicle mode, which I think is kind of cool. Now there is a pin right here. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure. It seems like this is actually a screw. Oh, it's screwed on. It's actually the back end of a screw, it looks like. And it's kind of a shame because the way this piece is on here, it seems like you can make it so it rotated back and around up to his, like behind his elbow. And that is not implemented here. It is he's just got these weird forearm chunks on the ends of his fists. Maybe he can use them to punch things, but I just feel like there would have been, with this wheel being right here and being a great pivot point, I don't know why they didn't make this piece so it could have flipped up here. I like this design for Optimus. I'm not done yet, don't worry. I like this design on Optimus. I love the angled windshield. I think in the cartoon the model is very cool. I would like to get a slightly cooler toy out of it. And then these shoulder panels up here, you can see there's that Autobot logo I was talking about. Fold down or rotate down like that. And he does have some shoulder articulation this way in the form of that transformation hinge. He's got a ball joint here, but this upper shoulder is all one piece, and he's got these pieces blocking his fists. He's got waist articulation. He does have knee articulation. You actually get him in some pretty solid poses and some wide stance poses, which is cool. But again, like if you bring his fist forward, you all of a sudden you lose the fist. You're just looking at the front of a truck. And like I said, I really wish they'd found a way to just kind of rotate that piece up. I think that would have made a huge difference in how this guy plays and displays. So unless you have his hands down at kind of a straight angle, you kind of lose most of that forearm behind the truck bumper. And he can hold his axe, obviously. He can hold the sword from Bumblebee as well, but again, because you can't push it all the way through, he can't hold it. He holds it like kind of at the end of the hilt, which is not a very effective way to hold the sword, just by the end of it. So, whatever. But there he is. And like I said, it's a really cool Optimus design. I really love the basic design for this Prime. It's really neat. I just wish it translated to the toy a little better. And I realize, these are aimed at younger people. They're basic. But when I look at like Grimlock and Bumblebee and how they've got a little bit more organic play design, like I feel like Prime is a little bit of a ball dropper. I guess we'll see what Drift looks like. But speaking of the other toys in the line, here he is with all his fellow Autobots. There he is with Strong Arm, with Grimlock, and with Bumblebee here. And one of the things I do like is that even with all that, they did manage. I'm going to just rotate his sword out of the way so I can get him up here in the line. He is actually slightly taller than all of them. And Prime should be a little bigger. Bumblebee stopped being drunk. Bumblebee started drinking when the Seahawks lost. So, you'll have to forgive him a little bit. But yeah, he's a nice robot. And he displays well with the line. You can see there's a lot of bright primary colors all over here. And secondary colors with the green. And here he is with... apparently Steeljaw is the Decepticon leader in the cartoon. At least of this faction on Earth. So there he is with them. And again, he's much taller. He feels smaller because of his tiny head and proportions. But... technically a bigger bot than, or at least a taller bot than Steeljaw here. And just since he came with a similar axe, I brought in, here's Orion Pax from a couple years ago. And you can see the difference, like, one, he is bigger. He's probably got, it's probably about the same amount of plastic all told. But you can see the detail. He's got a much more cartoony, big shapes, less detailed look. Whereas Orion Pax has, all this articulation in the shoulders. He's got a swivel here, and a swivel here, and a swivel here, and elbows, and his wrist thing. And even with the wrist thing, he still has wrist swivels, and ball joint swivel hips. And so, like, he's not the most playable, fun Optimus. I love his design. He makes a great little display piece. And to be fair, he is simple and quick to transform. So that there is... And I have to admit, like, as much as I might want a slightly more complex transformer, I love Orion Pax. For just pulling him out and messing with him, there is something to these simplistic transformations. I still say the best figure in the red line out so far is Grimlock. He's still my favorite. Although you have to be careful. He does have, apparently, there's a lot of people who have been breaking these gray ratchet pieces out of his forearms, and even this one, if I look, I have to admit, like, nothing's broken yet, but I can kind of see some very, very faint stress marks right up here along the top edge of this this green piece, where that, you know, too much pressure and that this gray piece is going to shatter right through it. I've been careful with it. I try to like put my thumb there and reinforce that part whenever I transform him. And I've been lucky that it didn't just break right away, but that's disappointing because I think he is probably the strongest, most fun figure out of the wave, or out of the first couple waves we've gotten, and to see him break like that is a shame. But Optimus, he's solid. He's a very nicely designed looking Optimus. He leaves a little bit to be desired as a toy.